It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles.
Good morning. Welcome in, Sports by the Book. I'm Jeff Parles. Good morning, Alex White.
Good morning. Happy Friday, everyone. Looking forward to the show.
It's our Thursday. Tomorrow's our Friday. Everyone else's Friday, though.
No one really cares about our schedule.
No one.
They just care that it is Friday for
that
the
is
majority
true.
of people.
Of all the statements that have ever been uttered on this show, I think that might be the most true statement, that no one cares about our schedule. I think I agree with you on that. But we're here. We got a fun one today. Curtis Terry. Yeah, you and Matt never talked to Curtis Terry a few months ago. It'd be great to have Curtis back. Of course, you hear him on UNLV basketball radio broadcasts, and of course played for the Runnin' Rebs. Yep. Under when Lon Kruger was still there. But we'll talk to Curtis, talk some NBA playoffs. Who knows? I don't know if I want to put Curtis on the spot with transfer portal stuff, since that's still a nice flowing river at this point.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, I'm excited to get his thoughts on the NBA, and this has been a really fun playoffs. A game last night, Jeff, I can't wait to get your thoughts on as well.
I'll have them. Don't worry. I'll have both one seeds get beat last night in game twos in their respective buildings. But let's get Sean swoosh it across. There it is. There's the starting five. The sound effect Sean just put that I don't think your mic's not on right now, which is a shame. Would have been good for everyone there. All right, starting five. Let's start game 3 tonight. Minneapolis. They've had 3 full days off, and the T-Wolves, I should say. See, the Thunder already on my mind, Alex. The T-Wolves look for a 3-0 lead over the defending champs. Of course, Minnesota went to the Mile High City, won game 1, and then demolished Denver in game 2. As of a few minutes ago, just confirming that we're still there. Now down to 4 on this one. 205.5 with Minnesota hosting Denver here tonight.
I do think that the travel time is one of the most interesting parts of this series. A lot of time in between this 2 and 3. So we'll break this down more. But and I'm interested to get Curtis's thoughts, because is Denver in trouble here going now to Minneapolis? Number 2 on the list, though, we do have the Pacers. They get to host the Knicks. They are down 2 games in this series as well. Game 3, Indiana 7-point favorite. Total in that one 222.5.
No OG Anunoby. He's officially out with the hamstring injury. Jalen Brunson is questionable. Been some rumblings. Oh, should the Knicks just sit Brunson, get him ready for game 4? That's just not how the New York Knicks operate. Yeah. So I would be stunned if Brunson's not out there tonight. But there is, I will tell you, Alex, real quick, there is some 8 out there now. So I'm curious to see how high this gets. We did say it would probably get to 8 at some point. I don't know how long that will stay there. That's at Circa right now here in town. Number 3, to the ice. Game 3, Boston, Mass. Bruins, Panthers, series tied at 1. How about Florida, favored on the road here tonight? Alex, not much of a shock, as you would have expected that. Florida also in this best of 7 now, $1.75 here in a 1-1 tie heading to game 3.
Right. Finally, a series that is tied up. I think this is going to go the distance between these two as well. Number 4, Vancouver. I'm going to use the positive way of saying this. Vancouver with an epic comeback in game 1 to beat the Oilers. Now, Edmonton, they are still favored on the road, -125 in game 2. Total 6 over -120.
What you see on the bottom of your screen right now, Connor McDavid, no shots on goal in game 1. I'm going to say that's not going to happen again here in game 2, especially with the way that Edmonton, I'll go the negative way, choked that game away against Vancouver in game 1 with a 4-1 lead, losing 5-4. Forget overtime. Did it in regulation north of the border. And then number 5, Major League Baseball. So Ralph Michaels sent our boss, Chris Andrews, a really fun chart earlier in the week about baseball favorites. And right now for the year on Friday favorites have been bad this year, minus 5.2% ROI. 2020 through 2023, 2.7% ROI. Road favorites, though, Alex White, from 2020 through 2023, over 7% ROI on Fridays. Pretty good. Pretty good for those Friday favorites on the road, at least going into this year. Not so much this year, though.
Right. So we'll see if we see a positive regression there. But interesting, you said favorites overall have not been great. And we've kind of seen that. Baseball's been tough this year, as you always say, though.
Well, yes.
It is a tough sport to bet.
Nothing tougher than betting baseball. I forget, I think it's Nick Bogdanovich who coined the phrase, you need a whiskey and a revolver to bet baseball on a daily basis. But it's tough stuff. Again, on this baseball card here on a Friday, I don't even know what the best matchup today would probably go down as the Dodgers and the Padres renewing their hatred in San Diego tonight with Michael King and Tyler Glasnow. Glasnow's a big favorite, $1.70 on the road at Petco. It's probably your best matchup today, since a lot of these teams that look like, oh, this is going to be a good matchup a few weeks ago. Nah, not so much. Tomorrow we get the eyes on Pittsburgh because Paul Skeens makes his major league debut for the Pirates. That's our starting five here to kick off the program here today. Alex, you want to start in hockey here?
You want to do a recap of NBA?
Yeah, we can do a hockey recap first.
Okay.
And then we'll get to those NBA recaps. Of
course, you want to
first.
do a hockey recap first.
Yeah. Well. Don't put it that way. I want to get to that game second because the later game was really the easier one to handicap, where Dallas looked like Dallas. Now, granted, it got tight at the end.
Yes, it did.
And if you had the under, I would, again, for the second consecutive game, I'd be pretty annoyed that it didn't get there. It was 4-0 going to the third. Colorado gets 3. Not enough, though. 5-3, Dallas wins it. For the first two periods, Ottinger was just outstanding, just as good as he's looked all postseason. A little shaky in the third period, but I think just the lesson with this, as has been all playoffs with Colorado, is these games are not over. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter where in the game it is. This offense, as has been for years, has been super explosive. They're still incredibly explosive. This screams long series, but the fact that Colorado was in a 3-0 hole in game one and came out of it and wanted advantage to the Avs to me in this series moving forward. As much as I like Dallas, and I still think they're the best overall team in the Western Conference, the way that this went in the first few games, advantage Colorado and a -125 favorite in the series.
I still have advantage Dallas because of their defense, their coaches instilled better goalie. So we're learning that, and we're seeing that in some other series that how much that really matters. Not that we didn't know it, but Colorado's a very tough team to handicap because of that. They're so good in that third period, kind of like Florida on the Eastern Conference side. But I agree with you. I definitely think this is going the distance. Now we are going back to Colorado, so it's going to be a tough matchup for Dallas playing there.
The other game, sorry, Alex, the Rangers party like it's 94. It's the first time they've started a postseason 7-0. Since then, of course, they won their cup. That's their only cup in the last 40-plus years for New York. Of course, they haven't won it since then, 30 years exactly now. Rangers are -1,400 to finish this thing out against Carolina. And the story of this series has been twofold. Carolina has been beyond dreadful on special teams.
Correct.
And, again, bad on the power play again last night. And the goaltending difference has been immense. Shesterkin has looked like he did a year ago when he was the best goaltender in hockey in the 2022-2023 season. And Kochkov was okay last night, but just one of those. The Rangers were outshot by it was 25 shots for the Rangers and 47 for Carolina. And Carolina just cannot convert on the power play. There were a ton of penalties again last night.
Yep.
I thought they were calling too much. There was some stuff that was warranted, but I thought they were calling too much. But in the end here, I'll just stick with what I've said all series. I thought the Rangers were the best team going into this series. That has been proved correct here in this series because of the goaltender. And in the end, the better goaltender is why the Rangers have a 3-0 lead in this series.
Well, we know the Stanley Cup playoffs, it all really comes down to who is playing the best hockey right now. And you got to, hats off to New York. They are playing great hockey. They look fantastic. I said it the other day, they check all the boxes, and they really do. So Carolina really struggled on their power play, but I think you can also give credit to the Rangers and their power kill. And then so many shots on goal, but Shesterkin, he's been a wall. So, yeah, good. I can't say much more than that, but hats up to the Rangers. They're playing great hockey, and we'll see if they can go all the way.
It's just for the Rangers. They were 10-1 going into the tournament to win the Stanley Cup. I know there was, again, there's always concern about the team that wins the President's Trophy. I get it. I know. You don't see it very often where the team with the best record in the regular season going into the playoffs is the fourth or fifth team down the board, which is what it was for the most part. Dallas was shorter. Edmonton was shorter. Carolina was the favorite going into the postseason. And depending on which numbers you saw, Florida was shorter at a lot of places. You just don't see it very often. It could be back-to-back years with a 10-1 number one seed in their own pod winning the cup. Remember, Vegas was the number one seed in their own pod a year ago, and they were 10-1 going into the postseason. Of course, raised the cup just north of us at T-Mobile nearly 12 months ago. And the Rangers, it'll be interesting to see who comes out of that other series. If it's Boston, the Rangers, I think, are going to steamroll through. If it's Florida, that's an interesting series all the way through, which will, again, all be dependent on Bobrovsky and what version of Bobrovsky we get if we were to get Florida, New York in an East final.
Well, and that's where I think that Boston actually has the advantage if they were to move on, because they do have Swayman and Ullmark if needed. So I do think they have the better goaltending pair over Florida. But, I mean, Florida, I just said it. They're like Colorado. I mean, you can never count them out.
Yeah, I think that last point is part of the reason that I think Florida would be a more interesting series. They're just much more dynamic than Boston is. And on top of being dynamic, they're great on the back end. Defenseman-wise.
Yes.
Again, Bobrovsky, question mark. Even though, again, it's weird to say that about a Vezina finalist this year, but I still don't think Bobrovsky should have been a Vezina finalist. We'll keep it with the recaps, and then we'll go into tonight's hockey because we got, of course, Curtis Terry coming in about 20 minutes for hoops for tonight's games. I guess we bet against the Celtics in Game 2 in the East Final, right, Alex? I think that's what we got to do. There's now back-to-back Game 2s to open both the first two series where the Celtics no-showed. They were awful in Game 2 against Miami. Their perimeter defense was terrible. Miami took advantage of it. And then last night, I mean, he gave Cleveland 118 points. Are you kidding me? Come on now. Cleveland shot 13 of 28 from 3 and 55% from the field. Boston, hey, you can get a better price than you could pre-series now on the Celtics to win the series. Hey, quote-unquote value, right? Minus 1,200 on Boston to win the series. Cleveland, by the way, 118.94. Just an utter destruction last night. I will say this. One thing that alarmed me last night that actually came off the court was Jason Tatum in the press conference after the game. Of course, you can go find what happened in the Luka's press conference last night if you want a little bit of a laugh. Jason Tatum on the expectations for the Celtics. Quote, "That's the narrative you might see on TV. The idea that we have a super team. It's twofold. We didn't have the coach of the year or MVP. We only had 2 all-stars. They say we're a super team, but we didn't get rewarded like we are." Okay, I don't want to read too much into things that are said that are said in post-game press conferences. That makes it seem like the excuses are going to get laid up if Boston comes up short this year. And look, Jason Tatum's an all-world player. He's an all-star. He's going to be an all-star double-digit times in his career. The best player and the best team in the NBA right now. Don't set yourself up like this off the court. And I just wonder, not for this series, because I still don't think Cleveland is good enough to take advantage of it. When is the time going to be to come in on the underdog against Boston? Will it be with the Knicks or the Pacers, the winner of that series in an East Final, or will it be in the NBA Finals against the West champion, whoever that may be, Alex?
I don't understand that comment at all. I do agree with you that it sounds like excuses already. Forget the awards. Go win a championship. You guys are built 100%. To do that. That would be so much more rewarding. But the big takeaway for me is this wasn't the same as the Miami game because they didn't just get really hot from 3. I mean, this was a really good team effort from the Cavs. They out-rebounded Boston 44-31. So, and it wasn't just Mitchell, right? It was everybody that was pitching in to help with this win. So, I don't know. I don't think Cleveland can actually win this series, but you're right. I think there is a point when Boston is vulnerable, and I wish it could be the Knicks, but their depth worries me as well.
The Knicks injuries are just loaded up at this point. It's very hard to see them beating Boston in a 7-game series unless I look at the Knicks just have this Herculean effort and Brunson can play through and Anunoby comes back. Look, you mentioned it, team effort last night. 29 for Mitchell, 21 apiece for Mobley and LeVert, 14 for Garland, 12 for Coro and Strus. I mean, they got it from everybody. They had 6 guys in double figures last night. And that's as good as Cleveland has played this whole postseason. To their credit, on the road as a double-digit underdog, winning comfortably. I'm very happy I didn't take Boston. I was very close, but I didn't like the way that they looked in that first half, and thank goodness I stayed out of it because that game was tied at halftime, and Cleveland obviously wins the game by 24 points.
And I was so worried about no Garrett Allen, so I didn't jump in either. But with no Porzingis on the other side, it's kind of evened out. So would have been a great spot to take the points.
It'll be very interesting to see because Zinger, we know with Porzingis, probably East Final at earliest. Again, the Knicks lack of bodies is why I don't think I would take them in that series, even though I would be very, very, very much be in the camp of, hey, I want to do this. The other game last night.
I do want to ask you this.
Please.
So there's still some futures out there where you can get plus money. Do you trust Boston now to win in 5? I believe that is plus 110 or maybe 6. It's even a little juicier. You think Cleveland can steal one more?
Well, look, you're heading back home. I thought Game 3 was going to be the game that Cleveland steals, but I don't know. I think at this point it's just
Game by game.
Let's just stay out of this at this rate. And if Cleveland wins Game 3, then let's just see how far the price dips on Boston and then come in on Boston. And we'll be laying still a pretty significant price, all things considered, especially down 2-1. But that would be the moment to come in. The other game last night, from a betting perspective, this game was just, the pace was different in the first half. And Oklahoma City and Dallas wins outright as an underdog. Game goes way over. Dallas is now favored in the series at minus 125 against OKC. Luka looked good last night, near triple-double, 29, 10, and 7. Kyrie only scored 9, and Dallas still scored almost 120. Other than Shea, Jalen Williams was the only other guy who had more than 11 points for Oklahoma City. So the concern here, and this is part of the reason, again, you and I both like Dallas pre-playoffs in this series, what we thought this matchup was going to come to fruition. This all comes down to who's the best player on the court in these games. If Luka is the best player on the court in these games, Dallas is going to win this series and Dallas is going to advance. If Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the best player on the court in this series, Shea and the Thunder are going to advance. Now, I don't like either of these teams against Minnesota or Denver, for that matter. If Denver comes out of the hole and wins that series, I'll like whoever wins that Minnesota-Denver series against the winner of this one. But it's just interesting now with Dallas stealing home court back and being a slight favorite. This is very intriguing pricing now on this series.
Yeah, I would look at OKC, to be honest, because yesterday was a game where the threes really mattered. Dallas, 49% from 3 compared to the Thunder, who was 33%. So big difference there. All their shots going in. And you brought up Kyrie, 11 assists for him. I noticed this in the Clippers series too. I mean, they don't need a ton of points from him. They just need a ball facilitator. And I think that's when they do best. But a lot of guys really stepped up. PJ Washington, Gafford. So I do think we have a series here, but I'm still leaning a little bit to OKC. And we'll see. This is their first loss now in the playoffs. So we'll see how they respond.
We will. We will see that later this weekend. Again, 2 games tonight, which we'll get to in about 15 minutes. Curtis Terry will break them down with us. Dallas and, again, the Mavs and the Thunder series tied at 1. Seen shifting to Dallas tomorrow. Early start, by the way. 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 local there in Big D. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll go to the ice. Look at tonight. Florida in Boston. Panthers looking to go ahead 2-1, and then Vancouver looks to push it 2-0 against Edmonton. We'll talk about that next. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
from the South Point studio. The perfect blend of sports,
But I think the Niners are going to wear them down. Detroit Pistons lost their 36 games.
comedy,
See over-under on that relationship lasting. I'm going to put mayo in the coffee.
I am beautiful, and a whole lot of Pittsburgh.
In Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Pittsburgh.
Join Ryan McCormick
That's at least 2 picks outside of our own in the first round next year. Oreo.
and host Frank Nicotero.
I look at the clock, I go, ah!
Watch Punchlines live at noon every weekday.
Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold 'em or fold 'em, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. Check with the craps dealer for schedules and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day. And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today. Guests can also get in on the action at our one-of-a-kind race and sports books. 2 separate rooms designed to maximize your experience and comfort. Our sports book, with over 400 seats, puts you right in the middle of the action, 24 hours a day.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. I'm Jeff Piles, Alex White, alongside crew here as always. Caden working on limited sleep. Our guy Sean, Ryan working hard to get you ready for Punchlines at noon, and here working on whatever it is to make our studio better.
Everything.
Everything. Alex is here as well. You see Alex today on Punchlines.
Yes.
It'll be a lot of fun.
You didn't say who was working on everything, though. That is Ann back there.
I said Ann.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. How could I forget Ann? I mean,
I heard you talking
we're-
about her. I don't know if you actually stated her name.
If I didn't, I apologize.
If you did, I apologize.
Ann is the glue that keeps us all together. I mean, if it wasn't for Ann, we would be. Who knows? I would probably come in with a sleeveless shirt at this point. It would be anarchy in this studio.
Yeah, you can't bag on the sleeveless shirts. That might get us some more followers. We know.
I'm gonna not even add anything to that. All right, let's go to the ice. There will be no sleeveless shirts on the ice tonight. At least we hope. Florida, Boston, Game 3. Bruins, of course. This series has been one team shows up and the other one doesn't. Boston dominant Game 1. Florida dominant in Game 2. Panthers $1.25 favorites, so that's -125. 5.5 juiced under. As of this moment, it looks like Swayman is staying in after that debacle in Game 2. Yep, there you go. Swayman followed by Omar going into the morning skate there in Boston. So barring something surprising, it will still be Jeremy Swayman for the Bruins as a +105 underdog tonight at home.
That total has it's been tough to handicap here because both games, like you said, one no-show, one really dominating the game. So I'm not going to touch the total, but I did bet the Bruins with that plus money, +105. I have the Bruins as a favorite here at home. Not a big favorite, but at least -115. So I think that this is a good spot to jump in on Boston. I think we'll see a much better performance from Swayman. He was just a little taken by surprise by the Panthers in Game 2, but it's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a good series. Just think you're getting so much value here with plus money and a really good hockey team at home.
You know, for Florida, again, this team has been unbelievably talented all year. They almost blow the division. They find a way to win the Atlantic Pod. They get the home ice in this series against Boston, which in the end, unlike other series that we will see in this Stanley Cup playoffs, I don't know how much home ice matters in this particular series. I think both of these teams travel better than a lot of other teams.
They do.
And again, I will just go to it. And I understand it is odd to say about a guy who is a Vezina finalist this year, but I just want to see what version of Bobrovsky we get. If we get good Bobrovsky like we got for the majority of the Tampa Bay series, Florida's going to go there, win both games, go back home, and win Game 5. I really do believe that. I think there is a big enough talent gap, and as good as Boston is, I think Florida's just better put together at this point, especially where Boston's better players are older players for the most part. Now, for Florida, you got to be solid on the back end. If you're solid on the back end, I actually like Florida parlayed with the under here in this game. That would be the way that I would look, especially with the way that this series has been out of control scoring on one side so far in this series. Expected to be tighter defensively in this matchup. I actually like the under better than the side in this game, in part because of that, Alex.
I do agree with that. I do think it's going to be much tighter. If I was to bet the total, I'd bet the first period under 1.5 because I really think we're going to see those it tighten up there in that first 20 minutes. But yeah, kind of different sides here, but I agree with everything you say. I mean, Florida's been so good, 27-16 on the road this year, but Boston's been great at home as well. So kind of pick your side.
The other game tonight on the ice, Alex, what we saw with Edmonton in Game 1, where they kind of played the Bizarro World VGK Game 1 against Dallas, where VGK held on to that game. Granted, it ended up not mattering in the series. But Edmonton gets a 4-1 lead. They blow it. 3 goals in about 2.5 minutes for Vancouver in the third period to win the game. The alarming thing is we've talked about yesterday after we saw this game on Wednesday night. Edmonton had 18 shots on goal. 18 shots on goal. Their X goals were just slightly above 2. This was a really bad effort, all things considered, by Edmonton in Game 1. And I understand that the way that the game played out, that the narrative plays at least to me, that Edmonton blew the game because you have a 4-1 lead. You're not supposed to leave it. But Vancouver's defense has now done this all 7 games in the postseason, where they have just taken away scoring opportunities for their opponents. They did it to Nashville the whole series. I know that they put up 4, but they really took the scoring opportunities away from an elite offensive team in Edmonton. I mean, come on, Connor McDavid had no shots on goal in Game 1. I just wonder the sustainability of this, as long as, again, if Demko comes back, which there's a report that the hope is he's ready for Game 4 of this series. All right, different story, because then you have an elite goalie back there. But as long as Seelovs is playing, I mean, if you're Edmonton, you got to take advantage of this. Win tonight, win Game 3, and then when Demko comes back in Game 4, at least you're leading the series 2-1.
I think you said it perfectly. I just how much can they sustain this and their defensemen back there, especially against this high-powered Oilers team? I have to go back, trust my numbers. I liked Edmonton in Game 1, so I'm taking Edmonton again tonight at a -125. I think the Oilers, surprisingly, because, I mean, they have struggled against Vancouver, especially in the regular season. I think they got a little overconfident. I mean, had a fairly easy series against the Kings, which we know that they are very familiar with each other as well. But came into this one, third-string goalie, overconfident, just kind of sat on that lead and let it slip away. So I think we'll see a very motivated, determined Oilers team today, and they have to take advantage, like you said.
It just, again, with this series, again, Edmonton was properly priced, series price-wise, pre-series. They should have been over $2. They're, right now, without home ice, down a game, they're still $1.35. They're -140. People actually bet Vancouver down from +120 actually to +110, and now it's come back up a little bit behind us. But it just, again, it's the trustworthiness of Edmonton. It's the same deal with dealing with if you bet Toronto on the east side at any point in the playoffs. You're just some franchises, again, Edmonton a little bit different than Toronto, but recent memory-wise, this team has been bad in the postseason for their talent. They haven't been to a cup final with this group. The only time they made the West Final, Colorado ran them out of the building. So it's just one of these for Edmonton. This is a series I don't care that you don't have home ice. You're supposed to win this series against the opposing team that does not have a lot of offense right now and is on their third string goalie. You're supposed to win this series. And there's no faith in Edmonton to do that right now. It just isn't, Alex.
It is tough. And Skinner is probably the goalie I have the least amount of faith in of all of the goalies that are left in the playoffs here. But that doesn't fall just on him. I mean, we're talking about it with Edmonton, how good his defensemen have been in front of it. Doesn't matter which goalie there is. Edmonton has to do that too. I mean, some of those goals they gave up in that third period were unacceptable.
That was horrible. Horribly, horribly done by Edmonton. I would lean to them tonight, though. Even with everything, I would lean to them tonight. They're still the better team. This is a pretty good price, all things considered.
It is.
Still, as much as I don't trust Skinner, he still is the better goaltender in this game with Seelovs going the other side. So
To be determined, right?
$1.25, minus 125 on Edmonton. All right, Curtis Terry's going to join us in a few minutes, but before we do that, Ryan McCormick is here, as always. Of course, he produces Punchlines, which you'll be on today at noon with our friend Frank Nicotero, who I was on with Frank yesterday. Really, really fun show yesterday on the network. He did very bad, but Frank did very poorly in Frankie Funko trivia yesterday. Now, it was a much harder game than usual for Frank, but regardless, the big news for our guy Ryan McCormick, the resident Bear fan here, is that Caleb Williams on May the 10th is officially named the starter for the Chicago Bears. Look at you. There we go. Look at that. We're bringing the applause over from the other from Punchlines over to us. NFL schedule comes out next week. We'll talk to Chris tomorrow about what the plan will be for getting the division odds are already up here at the South Point. I know other books have win totals. I think Chris and company do it right by waiting. We already know the 17 games for each team.
Right.
But the sequencing, I think, at least for me, Alex, does matter when betting season win totals. But we'll get that schedule on Wednesday next week. We'll officially know when everyone is playing their opponents we already know.
Good. And we'll also find out about the week 0, week 1, and when we'll have those lines as well.
Well, we'll have some of these books will have all of the lines quickly for, I know DraftKings puts the whole season up. Hey, look, if you want to bet a Week 17 game on May 15th, more power to you if you think there's some value. Honestly, Week 2 is the one that I think that, like, if you're looking long term, that's the week you usually can find some good stuff. Week 2, Week 3, if you're wanting to have individual NFL game bets sitting in your account for $5. But hey, look, if you think there's value, can't get on you for doing that.
Yeah, so
for sure.
Next week will be a lot of fun. We'll get the schedules out, and then we also have WNBA starting Tuesday, and we'll break down that league and get all our thoughts out.
Oh, you will get
Leading
your
up to
thoughts.
that.
I still need to do my work on that, even though it's still pretty clear to me that it's the Aces here, the Liberty here, and then the rest of the league is here. So we're on a crash course again for another Vegas, New York final. It's just a matter of what that result ends up being. I know we have Caitlin Clark, Caitlin Clark fever on the fever. Good work there, Jeff. But we have that coming next Tuesday opening night for the W, which is when our next show is, of course. All right, we'll take a quick break. Curtis Terry will join us in a few minutes. We also will look at the NBA and Major League Baseball as well. Again, Friday favorites over the previous 4 seasons have been great, especially road favorites, kind of coming back to regression to the mean a little bit. But we'll look at those games when we get back. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south of the border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside. Or maybe you're in the mood for seafood. Big Sur Oyster Bar has fresh seafood prepared right before your eyes. Savor freshly shucked oysters, crab legs jambalaya, shrimp and lobster. Beers on tap and a selection of fine wines are perfect to pair with your seafood favorite. Whether lunch or dinner, you'll love this fun atmosphere, located just off the casino floor. Ready to shake things up? Step back in time and treat yourself to one of the oldest restaurant chains in the country. Steak and Shake, famous for original mouth-watering steak burgers and hand-dipped milkshakes in a variety of flavors. For some old-fashioned fun, try Steak and Shake. If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry-aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone. And if you're craving a taste of Italy, come experience delicious Italian cuisine and the attentive service at Don Vito's. Our culinary team starts with the freshest ingredients and transforms them into traditional favorites. And don't forget Italian desserts. Don Vito's. Savor the taste of Italy. Finally, if sushi is more your style, join us at the popular Zenshin Asian restaurant and sushi bar, where we're serving up the freshest sashimi, nigiri, and sushi rolls. And beyond the sushi, an exciting contemporary Asian cuisine menu, plus a variety of specialty drinks, Japanese and domestic beer, wine, and sake. Balance your hunger with Zenshin.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. I'm Jeff Parles, Alex White alongside, and now Alex, we bring in a former UNLV running Reb. You hear him now. He's the current color commentator on UNLV radio broadcast. You also can find him at On Commentary podcast as well. Curtis Terry with us right now. Curtis, thanks for being with us this morning.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm looking forward to it.
Curtis, let's go to the association. Let's start with the earlier game tonight. The Knicks win both games in Madison Square Garden. Some controversy, especially in game one at the end, but the Knicks get it done. They lose OG Anunoby, though. He's not going to play tonight, hamstring strain. Jalen Brunson's foot is banged up. Fought through, played a great second half with the injury. The Pacers are 7.5-point favorites returning home. We saw Indiana win all three games at home against Milwaukee. What are your thoughts on this game tonight? And also, do you give Indiana a shot to come back in this series?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a pivotal game, obviously, in this series. I think it's going to be important for the Pacers to get off to a good start. I think when they play in front, they have a lot of energy, a lot of excitement. That ball moves, everybody touches it, and they're very deep in terms of their roster. They can go into the bench. And I think they're due for one. I think they maybe got jobbed. They got a couple bad whistles in New York, kind of expected when you're on the road. But with Anunoby out, with Jalen Brunson kind of banged up, even though he did put up 24 in the second half after coming back from that injury. I think they're going to be in line to get a win. And I think Coach Rick Carlisle played his cards right in terms of kind of jockeying with the officials in between games. But this is a game where I expect Indiana to come out to get this win and really kind of tighten things up in the series.
I'm with you there, Curtis. I want to talk about the total in this one a little bit. That second game, New York 130 to 121, flew over the total. The Pacers, they want to play fast. Now they're back at home. Do you expect that same tempo? The total right now, 222.5.
Yeah, I expect the Pacers to play even faster, honestly. I think they're going to be at home, and they're going to be in a situation where they can try to run up the score. And with Anunoby out, obviously defensively they're going to be a little limited, are the Knicks. And then with Brunson, again, on that bad wheel, how is he going to respond? But then anytime you go on the road, hostile environment, I think that's going to play a factor into this. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Pacers come out of the gates hot and try to run away with this thing. Obviously, the NBA and basketball is a game of runs, so I wouldn't be surprised if it tightens up at some point. But I do think that this is going to be a high-scoring game, especially in the Pacers' favor.
Curtis, I just want to ask you, when you have a team like the Knicks now, obviously really good team, but Mitchell Robinson is likely done for the playoffs. Anunoby's now out. Bogdanovich is done for the playoffs, suffering that injury in round one. Just how does a team, yes, I know they're used to playing more minutes, all the Brunson, DiVincenzo, Hart, obviously we're all in the top 5 of minutes played in the NBA during the regular season, but how do you handle this now, having to go deeper into your bench where this was already a tight rotation to begin with for New York?
Yeah, that kind of worried me in the last series, honestly, against the Sixers for the Knicks. Obviously, when you lose key guys in your rotation, they've kind of been without guys. Obviously, when Julius Randle went down, Anunoby had the elbow injury, but they've had guys throughout the course of the season, and they've all had to step up, which is great, kind of next man up mentality. The only problem with that, when you get to the playoffs and you're not getting guys back and you keep depleting your roster, and then you've got guys like Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, all playing heavy minutes, and Josh Hart, he's played damn near every minute of every game so far in the playoffs. At some point, you feel like fatigue is going to step in. And that's where I think it's going to be very important for them to be able to play possession by possession and try to control the flow of the game. Because if they do get down big, they may back into it, but it's that situation where you're going to have enough in the tank to be able to come back all the way and finish that job out. And so that's the one concern I do have. Bogdanovich is a big miss for them, especially with his three-point shooting ability. But now with Robinson out as well, are they going to have enough to stay afloat? They've got a 2-0 lead, but like I said, I expect the Pacers to get this win. And then it comes down to, can you play enough chess versus checkers to be able to win this series with a short bench?
CT, let's go to the other game. The T-Wolves steal 2 in Denver over the defending champions here. Their defense has just been so good, and it kind of looks like the Nuggets don't have an answer for them. This is a very important game, though. Game 1 in Minnesota, game 3 on the series. Timberwolves are a 4-point favorite. How do you see this one playing out?
You've got to give credit to Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves. They've been playing some great basketball, obviously. They're playing very confident. You get a Defensive Player of the Year award. You get the Sixth Man of the Year award for both players on their team. And they're just playing sky high with a lot of confidence right now. And then you go into Denver and you knock off the defending champs. You're going to feel a certain way about yourself. But the key thing is the Nuggets are the defending champions. And so I think with Jamal Murray lucking out and not getting a suspension, they're going to be at full strength. And so it's a matter of, we're going to see what the Nuggets are really about. Are they still kind of riding that playoff high, or that mentality of when we got down versus the Lakers, we can still come back and the game's never over? But I do think that they're going to be able to put together a tough fight. This team is the champions, defending champions for a reason. They have this core and they've been together for a long time. And then on the flip side of that, the Timberwolves have never been in this position. And so for them to be riding sky high and where they are right now, it's easy when you're playing in the lead and playing in front. But when this thing tightens up, like we talked about the last series, we're going to kind of see where the cards fall. But I do expect Jokic, Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, I expect them to come out, play a tough physical game. And I think that the Nuggets get back in this, and I think they do win this game and make this series 2-1.
Curtis, just when you're dealing with a team that plays such great team defense, like Minnesota does. And, of course, Denver, look, the last 2 years, they've basically been able to do whatever they've wanted on offense against basically anyone. And now Minnesota's shut them down 2 straight games. Just what type of adjustments, even mentally, do you have to do when you see a team, when your offense has been flowing for a long period of time and then you run into this elite defensive team like Minnesota?
I think it's going to be important for the Nuggets just to not buy into that the ship is sinking. I mean, they still are the team that they are. The defending champs returned, damn near their whole team in terms of the key core guys, especially in that starting 5. But they've got to make sure that they limit the mental errors, the mental mistakes. They can't turn the ball over. They can't have those shot clock violations. You can't give away possessions, and you definitely can't give away live ball turnovers to where the Timberwolves and their athletes can get out in transition, score, and get easy baskets. That's what you've got to do. Transition defense is going to be huge, especially against Anthony Edwards. But you've got to make sure that you just believe in yourselves. There's a lot of chatter out there that's saying they're done. They may get any of that. But it's going to be important for them to set the tone from the start. And that's one thing they haven't so far in these playoffs. Strong, get a lead early. They've always been trying to battle, and at some point, you've got to be able to flip that script and play from the front.
I want to ask you about a game that we saw last night, and that is Cleveland stealing a game in Boston. Boston, top 2 offense, top 2 defense, but then we see them give away these games. You can't lose home games in the playoffs, right? Is there any chance that Cleveland can make this a series? You think they could steal another one here?
If they're going to make this a series, they've got to get game 3, I think. I think they've got to come out. They've got to make sure they get this game. But it's interesting with the Celtics. I mean, they played so well in game 1. You've got multiple guys with 20-plus points. The ball's moving. They're knocking down shots. You're getting production from them. That kind of set, not down shots. That happened at the time, but way in terms of kind of way with great just else, but in his playoff. But you've got a way to stem the tide. And one thought to me, and you guys probably saw this as well, is that in terms of with the Celtics, they've I think it was the first coach to have 5 losses as double-digit favorites. That's kind of something there that kind of lingered in terms of making sure you're not too confident when you're supposed to go in and beat a team and kind of treat everybody the same. So I think they've got to tighten up, especially defensively. They got to get back to that team that they are, which is based on that defense and then letting their offensive weapons just go.
Curtis, before we let you go, of course, Luka, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, really high-end matchup with Oklahoma City and Dallas. Just what are your thoughts on that series moving forward?
That's the most entertaining series to me. I think it's going to go probably going to go 6, maybe 7. I like Luka. I like Kyrie. I like the Mavs. I think there's something about them in the way they can have multiple guys that kind of take turns scoring, but their role player is going to be big. Obviously, what P.J. Washington Jr. did last night, Tim Jr. making sure he's back in the lineup after missing some time and knocking down shots is big for them. And Alex, a fellow Rebel of ours, Derrick Jones Jr. is kind of their X factor. He's got to be able to defend. He's got to be able to get out in transition. And if he can knock down those corner threes and alleviate some of that pressure from Luka and Kyrie, I think they're in a good spot. The one thing I worry about with the Thunder, as well as they're playing, and they've been playing all year, and Shai Gilgeous is leading the way, is that experience. What's going to happen now that you've lost a game? You've got to go on the road. Things tighten up. You haven't been in this position before. Is it one of those situations where you've got to go through the trials and tribulations and take those losses before you can succeed? We're going to find out. I definitely like the Mavericks in Game 3 at home.
Let me ask you this. If the Mavericks win that series and then they have to go against Minnesota or Denver, do you give them a shot to win either of those?
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's something about the Mavericks to me. I think the Luka factor. He finds a way to win, compete. And the thing is, they're doing this right now. And Kyrie was basically non-existent last night, as well as he was kind of distributing, facilitating, making key defensive plays. If you're able to get him and Luka going at the same time, which we've seen on the course of the season, they're very, very tough. Because then you have to show a lot of help. You've got to come off those shooters. And then if they can spray and have those guys knocking down shots, they're going to give a team run for their money. But I think it's important for them to be healthy and stay healthy. And obviously Luka was a bit banged up last night, but we'll see kind of what happens as this thing moves forward.
He's Curtis Terry. Again, you can find him the Uncommon Terry podcast. You can also, of course, during college basketball season, you hear him on UNLV men's basketball games on the radio as well. Curtis, pleasure to have you today. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Curtis
Terry, everyone. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we get back, we'll have our official plays of the day on a Friday. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style paradise swimming pool. a relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world. Our gaming amenities include over 60 table games and over 2,600 of the most popular slot and video poker machines. We have penny slots, including the popular Buffalo games, and real machines like Wheel of Fortune, Triple Sevens, and Megabucks. If you prefer video poker, try Deuces Wild, Double Double Bonus, or a variety of multi-denomination games. Or try your hand at one of the most popular casino table games in the world, Blackjack. Don't let the game intimidate you. Blackjack, also known as 21, is both easy and fun. And our dealers are always happy to assist. And the best part? Blackjack always pays 3 to 2. Next, check out the roulette tables. Roulette is one of the easiest casino games to learn, and so much fun to play. It's a favorite of both beginners and seasoned players. In addition to blackjack and roulette, our casino pit features over 60 popular table games like Baccarat, Pai Gow Poker, 3-Card Poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and Mississippi Stud. So get out of your room and come join in the fun.
The Sports by the Book two-step welcomes you back in. I'm Jeff Parles, Alex White alongside our plays coming for a Friday on the board. Alex White, I'll start in the NBA. If we find another 7 again, if we get back to 7, yes, I know I missed the 6s. I know I missed the 6.5. I know it's not a good bag. Yes, I understand it. At 7, I think it's fine on Indiana. I just do not see where, again, Brunson's not going to be 100%. There's no Anunoby. Probably going to have to see Alec Burks for a little bit, who's a defensive sieve at this point. I would lean to Indiana now. At 7.5, probably not there. We need to see a little more action on the Knicks in order to justify coming in on Indiana here. But that is at 7, I know I missed the best of it, but it's still probably a play for me, Alex.
I think if you can find a 7, that's not too bad. I have Pacers -6 in this game.
Okay.
Nothing on the total. I have all sides today in both sports.
Total seems fine. Total seems right.
It does, right?
Yeah,
I might see how that starts out. Maybe we can jump in. If it starts slow, and we get a better number, maybe in the teens, 2 teens, we can jump over.
This is most likely tonight in the NBA side of things. The last night, if you want the Denver Nuggets, is probably the last night to do it. If you think the Nuggets are going to come back and win this series, you got to play it now. No team's ever come back from 3-0 down. If they lose tonight, it's over. This would be one of those. If you took a piece of the Denver series price, I would take Denver plus the 4 and a small piece of the money line. I would just go all in on it. And if the Nuggets lose, then that's that. Then Minnesota's going to be moving on, Alex.
I think that number is correct with the Timberwolves 4 in this one as well. But I agree. I liked what Curtis said and kind of broke that down. They are the defending champs. You're going to see their best effort in this one. And they've had plenty of time to figure out some answers to that defense. So I may also wait and see if I can get a better number, looking for at least 6.5 points.
Hockey-wise, Alex, I like it under in Boston tonight for the reasons that I said. This just feels like this will be a significantly tighter game after both teams had game one. Boston was awesome on offense. Florida was awful defensively, and then the roles reversed in game 2. This just feels like a much tighter, low-scoring game. I like under 5.5 in Boston tonight.
I made it about 5.25. Not about. I made it 5.25, so you do have some value there. I don't hate that at all. I would look that way, but I am on the Bruins here at plus 105.
All right, Boston as a dog at home for Alex tonight. Now when I'm on the under. And then the other one, Edmonton's gonna win tonight. If Edmonton doesn't win tonight, the series is, I don't want to say it's over because that's wrong, because Edmonton will still be live at home and get their act together. But this becomes a much more difficult task than it needs to be for the Oilers if they lose this game tonight. I like Edmonton tonight. I also don't mind if you want to take a small bite of the series price on Edmonton as well. I think that's fine at the moment, Alex.
both of us on the Oilers tonight, -125. Pretty good number for that team, even on the road.
Baseball. I'll let you steer the bus here. Where do you want to start on baseball?
Well, I told you I have no totals in the other two sports, so I had to find a total.
Okay.
Of course, in baseball. Let's go to Colorado. Why not? We are going over that total of 9.5 with the Rangers and the Rockies.
Wow.
Did it move up?
No. I just. Okay. All right. Hold on a second here. Because I didn't even. So it's cold in Denver tonight. It's cold. It's May 10th. It's 53 degrees. Doesn't that sound fun, Alex? 53 degrees on May 10th. A single-digit total at Coors? I know the Rockies are horrible on offense, but a single-digit total at Coors. I think I'm gonna tail on this one. You're just obligated. If you don't get there, so be it. A single-digit Coors game. You don't see that very often.
No, you don't.
Wow.
That is for sure. But more. Okay. I also have, I want your opinion on this.
Please.
I'm looking at the Braves tonight as a
Okay.
favorite, -145 against the Mets.
Quintana last time out was awful. Got totally annihilated in Tampa. He was good. He was great in his previous start, which was at home. He threw 8 innings, only gave up a run in a game the Mets managed to lose. Now, granted, that was against the Cardinals, whose offense has gone into hibernation this year. I don't know. Look, anytime you get Atlanta at what you think is a fair price, I'm never going to say don't do it.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, you don't see like quote unquote fair prices on the Braves, on the Dodgers that often, just because of how high they are in power ratings. So if you think that's a fair price on Atlanta, yeah, go for it. I'm not gonna say don't do it. I'm gonna say don't do it. I think the pitchers are even tonight for what it's worth.
Yeah, they are about even. I have Morton a little bit higher, but so that's one. And then I am trying to figure out how to play the Phillies.
Okay.
But they are a $2 favorite. So
not as big of a favorite as they were.
Okay.
You can get $1. You can get as low as $1.72. Suarez against Rogers, big pitching advantage because Rogers has just not been the same dude. Suarez has been great this year. 7.5 on the total. Marlins stink. Phillies currently the best record in the National League, as we know.
Yes. So I was going to look at their team total over 4.5 here, -105.
Okay.
We haven't really talked about the betting numbers and baseball here at South Point either, and the straddle.
Well, yeah, the dime line, as always, best lines in the city for baseball, as we know. Of course, team totals up every single day. Hey, look good.
This is the most baseball I've ever bet, I'll be honest. So
Okay,
I've just
fair
been
enough.
noticing more and comparing other numbers, and I'm like, wow, they really do have the best baseball
Yeah,
numbers.
good. Good. The straddle that baseball should be. Personally,
Yes.
there should be dime line everywhere. I know the new age books definitely will never do that, but that's a different discussion for a different time. The only other thing I would say, what's the team total on the Boston Red Sox tonight? Over there,
Okay.
what do you got? Boston Red Sox hosting the Washington Nationals. Tanner Houck goes for Boston. Our
Sorry,
friend
keep
Patrick
going,
Corbin.
You're doing great.
Our friend Patrick Corbin goes
4.5 as well.
4.5 on the team total for the Red Sox. What's the juice on the over?
-130.
Yeah, that's still fine. Patrick Corbin Day has been a betting tradition for a lot of bettors over the last few years since he's fallen off the cliff after the 2019 championship for the Nats. Yeah, I over 4.5 on a team total for Boston seems pretty reasonable tonight. Even though I will say the Nats have played significantly better baseball than I would have imagined so far this year. To 500. They're 18-18. You're taking that 100 times out of 100 if you're Washington through 36 games. But I like their Red Sox team total seems to be good. I guess you could lay the run line at the 1.5 as well if you wanted to at laying $1.05, which I don't really love that, but I don't probably a reasonable bet with Corbin going for the Nats tonight.
I like the team total -130. That's a great number. Then you don't have to worry about the run line.
And then the only other thing that even remotely stands out tonight is the Cleveland Guardians and the Chicago White Sox are a flip. Now, the White Sox do have a pitching advantage here. Crochet goes against Cookie Carrasco, who is, I'm kind of floored that he's still in the majors at this point. He's done. Great human interest story, but not a major league pitcher anymore. But Aren't you kind of obligated to take the guards in a flip tonight against the White Sox, even with a pitching advantage for Chicago?
I think so. I learned my lesson yesterday.
Yeah. I think that's just
trying to
one of
take the
those where
starting pitcher.
just don't get too cute, right? What?
Ryan doesn't like it.
Oh, well, okay. All right, let's go. Get him ready.
Just wanted to say the last time that you said that a pitcher hasn't been major league quality, they had a really good outing.
Who was it?
Well, there was Miles Michaelis.
Well, yes, but I've been proven right on that in the long term.
Yes, no, long run. Yes.
And I do think
But
he's
the
major
day-
league quality.
but the
I just
day
don't
that
think he's
you
any
said
good.
that he wasn't a major league pitcher. He ended up having a good outing.
Yeah.
So
well, look, it happens.
be wary on that one.
It happens. See, McCormick couldn't help himself on that one. I thought you were going to say something White Sox related. Actually, that's where I thought you were going with that. That's okay. And then that's pretty much that, and nothing else really stands out. Again, it just kind of. Again, the Tigers a big dog tonight against Houston. Houston $1.45 on the road. It is a good pitcher in Valdez, but geez, I mean, that is a steep price for a team that
Can
has
they
not
get
played
two
well.
in a row?
Yeah, well,
That would be-
I don't know what happened in that Yankee series where it was a requirement for each game to have multiple 450-foot home runs. Singleton went to the third deck last night in right field. Judge 472 out the left side. A lot of long bombs in that series. All right, Punchlines comes your way in 2 hours. Ryan McCormick will be there. Alex will be there. Frank Nicotero will be there. Sean will be there in some fashion. What they've done to Sean on that show is just not right. He's a good guy, that's Sean. Caden, good work as always. And good work as always. Alex, we'll see you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Get you ready for Saturday. I'm Jeff Parles. This has been Sports by the Book.